Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and tonight I'm going to make this video political and social. And the title is going to be a question. And the title of this video is, what does the Democratic Party really stand for? What does the Democratic Party stand for? Now, the Democratic Party is the oldest party, the party of the Klan. The Democratic Party, however, they had blue dog Democrats like the Joe Liebermans. They used to stand for the working people. They used to stand for real equality, not equity. But today's Democratic Party, my humble opinion, it basically came from the 60s. You have people like Cloward and Bivens, Bill Ayers, Saul Alinsky, all these leftists. They got into the Democratic Party and they've gone left. Now, again, there's nothing against the LGBTQ, the alphabet community, women. That's nothing against groups. But when it comes to the Democratic Party, they always say they're the party of the people. But if you really think about it, the Democratic Party is a segregationist party. And I say this because if you look at the party, there are a bunch of, I call them coalitions, but these coalitions really bring phony diversity. And looking at the Democratic Party, you have your mainstream media, you have all of your celebrities, and even some of these athletes. Now, the worst part of the Democratic Party, or the worst people in the Democratic Party, from my humble opinion, really start with the white liberal. And I say this because the white liberal uses black women to do their bidding for them. Now, there are a lot of shows out here, and I've been watching Tyler Perry's The Oval. And if you look at the women on that show, they represent the black women in the Democratic Party. Ratchet, disrespectful, no loyalty, and they act like they have all the power. Well, they really don't have any power. It's just that the white liberal has used the black woman to destroy the black community. And when you put a lot of these black women in power, and even some black men, you get the blue cities and the blue states and the blue people. Bottom line is, the Democratic Party is really the party of the big government. But I'm going to take it one step further as well. The Democratic Party uses diversity. They use feminism. They're really the party of Marxism. And I'm just going to take it up a notch. They're a party of authoritarianism. See, they're looking at Trump like he's authoritarian. See, the Democratic Party is like a smoker, okay? I'm a non-smoker. So if I run into a smoker and I say I don't like smoke because it stinks, that smoker is going to think I'm crazy. Why? because that smoker is immune to their smoke. Well, the Democratic Party, they look at traditionalism like it's crazy. Why? Because they're immune to chaos. Again, you got people like Pocahontas, Pritzker, and do you know Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York? I believe that he's going to run for mayor of New York. Now, there were a lot of allegations against Cuomo. He had to resign. Looks like the allegations were true. But see, one thing about the Democratic Party, they're a bunch of hypocrites. You see, when Bill Clinton was in power, he did what he did to those ladies. What were people like Gloria Allred? But then you turn around and you get somebody like Bill Cosby. Gloria Allred was out in full force. You see, the Democratic Party right now has people like Hakeem Jeffries, little sweet ass name. Cory Booker. I mean, if you look at the men in the Democratic Party, they're weak, sweet, no balls. These guys, particularly the black men, they follow women. And looking at the Democratic Party right now, it's no leadership. It's because they don't stand for anything. The rhetoric that they are preaching is old. It's identity politics. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to see how much shit is sticking. It's not sticking right now. Now, what the Democrats will do, they will utilize the mainstream media. Now, people like Roly Poly Martin, Joy Reid, and you got the radio host out there, Ricky Smileys, the Steve Harveys, even LeBron James, a host of celebrities who talk about how unfair the system is, but yet they're rich and they don't live in the black community. Matter of fact, they can't even spell hood. They live so rich. They can afford their own security. But one must ask, when it comes to the Democratic Party, what do they really stand for? Because every time I watch television, been there, done that, they're just running reruns. I mean, when it comes to the education system, the Democrats are lousy. Comes to taxes, the Democrats are lousy. When it comes to employment. Now, I'm not saying that the Republicans are great, but looking at the two parties right now, if you think about it, you have a number of people on the right who call themselves conservative when the mainstream people in the Republican Party, all they are the old Democrats. See, what Donald Trump did, he took the philosophies of the old Democrats and he's using it in the Republican Party to draw more votes. Very clever idea. But see, the Democrats, they will never draw people from the Republican Party. Now, of course, you have people who are on the fence. And generally, when you're on a fence, you really don't know where you want to go. And people who are on the fence are generally, they're influenced, they're gullible. They do not utilize research, they feel. So in other words, if the wind is blowing left, they're going to go left. If it's blowing right, they're going to go right. In other words, they don't know what the hell they want. But one thing I will tell you, When it comes to the Democratic Party, they're very racist, they're sexist, they're anti-heterosexual. In fact, they're the real bigots. They really don't care about children. They don't care about families at all. And what they want to do, because feminism, it is working. You hear all these words like hypergamy flying around. They're utilizing the alphabet community to try to wipe out the patriarchy. Bottom line is, the Democrats must understand, here in the United States, it's always going to be a man's world. Men will put up with a lot. And I'm taking this off of The Oval by Tyler Perry, although it's a movie. Women think they have power. Ladies, you only have as much power as it's what's given to you. You don't really have all that power. You got the biggest mouths, but you're not saying anything. In other words, like James Brown said in one of his songs, you're talking loud, but you ain't saying nothing. And a lot of people in the Democratic Party are lazy people. This is where you have all your academics. These individuals are not managers. They're mainly freeloaders or parasites. A number of them, and I'm not knocking everybody who works for the government, because you do need government. Without government, people would run amok. But the government, because the Democrats have put in their stupid policies, it's run amok. Doesn't represent the people. And the bottom line is this: the Democratic Party doesn't appeal to the center and doesn't appeal to the conservative parts of their party. It's the left. In order for the Democratic Party to actually be in power again, they're going to have to shut down the left wing of their party. They're going to have to get people like Joy Reid. Now, free speech is okay. This is one thing the right does allow. They allow free speech. But see, the left doesn't want free speech from the right. The Democrats don't want Doge. This is why they're making fun of Elon Musk. And all Elon Musk is doing, he is looking at where the money is going. Now, you have a number of leftists out there, because they don't like what's going on. They're destroying his property. He's lost a lot of money. The Democratic Party, they're a bunch of children. When they don't get their way, they want to be very violent. And they're violent because they have no structure. They think they can go and do whatever they want to do. Now, I believe we need a two-party system, because I don't want the Republicans running amok either. Can't have that. And what the Democrats do, they're utilizing the courts not to evaluate the laws, but to set policies. Well, we have three branches of government. It's the legislature's job to legislate. They make the laws. It is the court's job to make sure that the laws are being upheld and to scrutinize the law. Now, the problem with the laws is that the laws have many interpretations, just like the Bible. But the Democrats, they want higher taxes. They want chaos. See, because they don't have an idea of their own, they make up bullshit as they go along. And they go on to social media and run amok. Again, you hear this chick out there, Jasmine Crockett, saying that, oh, we're going to be in a recession. Well, because, and I don't believe she's as stupid as what people are making her out to be. And I don't believe Maxine Waters is that stupid at all. They know what's happening. But what they're doing is they're trying to get the stupid people on their side. You see, when people don't do enough research or they're lazy out there, they can be easily convinced. And this is what's going on with the Jasmine Crockett's. This is what's going on with the Tlaibs um, and look at that individual out there, Al Green. The Democrats staged that, but they left him out there for the most part. During that, and it wasn't a State of the Union, it was a congressional meeting. Usually you don't have a State of the meeting until a year after you've been in the presidency. But one thing that the Democrats showed me is they really don't care about people. I mean, you had two women. I believe one of them's name was Jocelyn and the other one was, Lincoln Riley, who were both brutally murdered by illegals. They didn't care. In fact, the law for Lincoln Riley, a lot of Democrats, they voted against it. These are the individuals who should be voted out of office. And because these are two women, I always have to ask, anytime I see a woman that's being brutally murdered, I have to ask, well, where are the feminists? This is why I don't take the feminists seriously. And then you had this young 13-year-old boy who survived cancer, and black at that, had a father. Father was proud of him. He wanted to be in law enforcement. So he was made an honorary Secret Service person. Did the Democrats clap for him? No. They didn't care about him. And right then and there, that showed me that the Democrats don't care about anybody but their own power. But when you criticize the Democratic Party, this is when they will utilize academia and mainstream media. You notice these Democrats, they're not coming on the conservative networks talking, they're going to all these liberal networks. And you got the liberal people following the Democrats. Malcolm X said it. The white liberal, the black people, not your friend. They are not your friends. They are the racists. They are the bigots. In fact, that's what the Democrats want. They'll tell you they want education. But when you want to get rid of the Department of Education and push everything to the states, they don't like it because the Democratic Party wants everybody to live off of government. Government should be protecting your rights, not giving you entitlements to help you live. Now, every once in a while, you can get a safety net, but the safety net is not made for you to live off of the rest of your life. And with the Democrats, a lot of people don't understand tariffs either. So the Democrats, what they're doing with tariffs is this. Okay, if I make a car and I ship cars to your country, now anybody can charge a tariff. Well, it's not the president who really charges tariffs, it's the country who charges tariffs. It's what individuals really don't know. And what's happening is the United States has paid everybody. But when we want to charge tariffs, the Democrats don't like it. See, the Democrats are really against America. And this all started from the 1960s. Now, I know the Vietnam War shouldn't have happened, but a number of these Democrats did a lot of protesting on these college campuses. In fact, in the 1960s, this is when colleges started to go down in the DEI. Some of this information you're hearing right now is going to be repetitious. But DEI, who benefits from DEI? White women. You have your Hispanics, your Asians, I believe your Indians. Then who comes next? Your alphabet community, your veterans, and then your blacks. Now, the funny thing about DEI is you might have somebody who's part of all those groups. And when it comes to the Democratic Party, you have to look at what's not being said. The Democratic Party, they want an authoritarian style government. Now, they will tell you that Trump thinks he's a monarch or a king. No, that's because they want to be kings, queens. Bottom line is, it's not working for them. Now, I've always said this about the Democratic Party. Who's running the Democratic Party? A lot more women go to the Democratic Party. And it's funny because, women wanted all this equality, but I don't see the feminists out there from the Democratic Party really fighting for women's rights when it comes to transgender men playing in women's sports. Now, Trump did something that was very clever. He knows how to bait the Democrats. You look at the Democrats, they were left to an outburst by Al Green and putting up signs about lying. And they are the biggest liars. Now, again, I'm not saying the Republicans are the greatest, particularly the establishment ones. Thank goodness people like Mitch McConnell, who's part of the Republican Party, and the Trent Lotts, they're going to be going away from the Republican Party. You have people like Zelensky from Ukraine. The United States handed all those dictators a lot of money. And that was during the 4 years of Joe Biden. Now, don't get me wrong. If you look at the government, governments have always had their problems. And if you think about it, I'm going to go all the way back to the 20s, when the Republicans had the Depression. I think his name, Herbert. What his name is back then? He was a Republican president. I know one of them died in office. Was Warren Harding? He died in office, and then Herbert Hoover came in, Republican. Oh, do you know that Depression put the Republicans out of power for years? This is why FDR. And to me, the last good Democratic president was JFK, and then FDR. I haven't really seen a great Democratic president. Bill Clinton had a good economy. Obama, he was only put in there because McCain wasn't that good. And of course, he was a leftist. Now, Bill Clinton did use triangulation. In fact, when Bill Clinton was in there, this is when the Republicans had the House of Representatives for the first time in 40 years, 1994, because it was 1954 when Eisenhower was in office, but the Republicans had the House. So The Republicans were out of power for 40 years in the House of Representatives. Now, you have to look at the Democrats who were in the House of Representatives, and you have people like, well, actually, the segregationist Robert Byrd, he was a senator, but you had a number of other individuals who were Democrats. Some of them good, some of them were bad, but the Democratic Party was better than the Democratic Party. They were for the unions. They were for the working people. And a number of your old Democrats, reason why the Republican Party looked bigoted or racist is because a number of those individuals who were in the old Democratic Party, the Dixiecrat Party, they went to be Republicans. Jesse Helms, those kinds of guys. And if you think about it, when it comes to the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, the Republican Party is more scrutinized than the Democratic Party. See, the Democrats have this do as I say, not as I do. See, they can go out and criticize everybody else, but when you criticize them, this is when they try to utilize the identity politics, and that is a big problem. And when it comes to the Democratic Party, one has to ask, what programs do you have? I mean, if you want diversity, it should be a diversity of ideas. They don't have that. They don't have anything. They're utilizing their feelings. That is their problem. And these individuals out here, although they sound educated, they went to college, most of the Democrats, what they do, they hang around their own type of people. They don't get out here amongst us because they don't like anybody outside their own circle. So when it comes to real diversity, there is no diversity of thought. It's everybody in their little circle. Joy Bay hours, and most of them are from the cities. They call themselves from the affluent. I call some of them the young ones yuppies, the young urban professionals. What a yuppie is. Well, they don't like anyone who's from the country or the small town because they think those people aren't very smart. But when it comes to the Democratic Party, when I see Scott Jennings on CNN, he's having all of them for breakfast. And look who's on CNN with Scott Jennings. Number of women. And I'm not saying that women are stupid, but I will tell you, the ones that are on CNN, and even I'll go out here, number of women, because they have this entitlement, and that's our fault as men. And if you watch some of the movies, TV shows, men allow this crap. You know, I always hear the white man telling some black men about controlling their women. I'm going to say this to you white guys out there. Man, you white guys don't control your women. This is why shit is fucked up now. Because you allow your women to run amok. You see, black women, they just run their mouths. They're not going to change anything. Yeah, they run it to their hood black guys. And what happens? The reason why they can run their mouths is because they'll go get other simps to do their bidding for them. This is what the Democratic Party does. The Democratic Party is made up of a bunch of individuals who are supposed to be adult. They have arrested development. They love the name call. They love the curse. So I'm giving them in this video what they give us. And when it comes to black people in the Democratic Party, why do you black people keep voting for these Democrats? You complain that they don't do anything for you, but you still vote for them. This is why the Republicans don't come into your town. You're not going to vote for them. And it's still going on now. Now, some of you black people have gotten a little wise, but many of you haven't. But you're complaining. You're complaining that the Democratic Party isn't doing anything for you. With black people in politics, and I'm just going to say this, a number of black people really don't know about politics unless it's identity politics. I know when Obama got in office, would ask some black people, well, why do you vote for Obama? I said, what does he stand for? Many of them couldn't answer the question, but they didn't have to answer the question. I already knew. Because to them, anybody that's got some black in them, they call them black. Even their policies are lackluster. If you look at people like Kamala Harris, one hand she said she was black, on the other hand she said she was Indian. But if you look at Kamala Harris, she came from a Marxist family. She used to talk about how her mom had a business. I never hear anything about her dad. And these Democrats, they don't support men. And I'm not saying all black women don't support men. It's just the Democratic black women don't support men. Unless they're a white man. They love him. Not based on what he looks like, because of the power he presents. And for you men, I don't even understand why you're in that Democratic Party. People like Dick Durbin. Why are you there? Governor Pritzker of Illinois. And when I'm talking about Democrats, I'm talking about not just in the federal government, but in the state and local government as well. Wes Moore, Maryland. I mean, Wes Moore looks like a little child. You look at the Baltimore mayor, the Chicago mayor. These are Democrats. And the problem with them is they're all socialists. They're not going to tell you that they're socialists, but they are. The Democratic Party, they want Americans to be poor. They don't want Americans to think for themselves. And they use the 5 power conferences of society. And if you don't know what the 5 power conferences of society are, I've mentioned them quite a few times on my videos. Religion, mainstream media, education, government, and jobs. And the reason why I say that is because all of those conferences have regulations to keep the right from having their free speech. You know, it's funny when I watch Tyler Perry's The Oval, they take the black people, think of the light-skinned guys and make them look weak. You got 2 dudes on there. One is playing Donald, who is the chief of staff, and the other one is Kyle. Meanwhile, Donald has a wife, but they make him sweet. Have another guy named Dale, make him sweet. And the black women in that soap opera are disrespectful, loud, ghetto. They act like they have the power. Now it's kind of funny. On that show, there's one over in the dark skin, one named Priscilla. See, that young mixed boy named Jason, he choked the shit out of her. Saw her face. She didn't want none of him. She didn't want any of him. Black man ain't gonna do that. Black man's gonna call her a queen because he's afraid of her. And when it comes to the black man, yeah, and you all have to look at it. But the father was doing his wife. Now, the funny thing about it is when the wives get caught cheating, they have all the excuses in the book. And they don't want a man to keep bringing it up. But let a man cheat. They're going to constantly bring up. You look at Sam. Sam was cheating on his wife with the first lady. Meanwhile, Priscilla said, I don't care if I don't give you any sex, you shouldn't cheat on me. Well, to me, you're married, guys are horny, you ain't doing him up, then that should be grounds for divorce. Period. And see, all this would not come into play if men had a little balls. I mean, if you think about it, that's what's in the Democratic Party. The women are doing all the speaking. I mean, you look at people like Al Green. Do we take that nigga seriously? Look like a broke ass James Brown. Ponytail. Man buns. That's what a lot of the men are like. A lot of the men are women. And a lot of women are trying to be masculine, but you know what? Women, you don't have the dick. Okay, you may think you do. Got the mouth. Maybe a guy to use your mouth to put his dick in it. But some of you are out of pocket in the Democratic Party. You say and do whatever you want to do without any type of consequences. And the men just sit there, quiet as a mouse, and allow you all to speak out of turn. And it's funny because when I watch the Democratic Party on television, they remind me of a bunch of high school kids. I mean, they're in the workforce, a number of them. See, when it comes to their government jobs, they got used to doing nothing at work. So now they're going to have to get out there in the private sector if they can get a job that is marketable. Because I know they got their degrees in some basket weaving and some human studies. That's why they can work for the government, use the DEI. See, they don't want to compete. They want the title. See, this is what the Democrats teach you. They teach you to act like you're doing something. But in the meantime, you really aren't doing something. Yeah, they talk about equality, but really, what they want is superiority. I mean, if you think about it, you look at these shows like The Equalizer with Queen Latifah. No women like that because she's whooping up on a man. But see, now if a man whoops up on her, well, they'll take that show off the air. That's the problem, the double standards. See, that's not equality. The Democrats call it equality because everything goes one way, and that's their way. And if they don't really like what's being said, they're going to cancel you. You look at people like Whoopi Goldberg, and by the way, as big as big a mouth as she has. I found out what Whoopi Goldberg's real name was. Her name was Karen. But she's your typical Democratic woman, talking out of turn, doesn't know what the hell's going on, makes up stuff as she goes along. Then you got that other Spanish chick. They act like they're educating people. No, you're educating a dumb audience. That's who you got. And that's the thing about the Democrats. They don't come into the belly of the beast. They're not coming over here. Even the ones who are on YouTube, they're not going to Anger Man's channel. They're not going to Benny Cunningham's channel, Barry Cunningham's channel, ABL's channel. They're coming over there. They're going to people, and here's what the Democrats do. They go into people's territory that agrees with them. In other words, they don't take any heat. That's the problem. You see, to me, I want to know why you have this belief. It's just like religion. I'm not saying never to believe in God, but I know Tony Jane and shout out to Sweet Chocolate out there. She brought up a song by a trans person. Very, very hateful. Said God has a dick. Insane. And that was at a Bernie Sanders rally in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So what was Bernie Sanders trying to do? Is he trying to ruffle some feathers? Now, I will say this about Bernie Sanders. Now, he's a socialist and a devout, but he admitted it though. You can be on that side, but he admitted it. I got respect for Bernie. And by the way, I don't even hate Bernie. He's not phony. So you can be on the other side. I could even party with somebody like Bernie. Don't have to agree with him politically, but he believes in what he says and he doesn't flip flop. Okay, I can handle that. But all the rest of these Democrats, they flip flop. Call them flippers. And when nothing goes their way, they want to use the system. But now when the system is used against them, they have a fit. And they are using lawfare and weaponizing their political enemies. They're doing it. You see, the funny thing about it is nobody will be talking about Doge right now if Elon Musk wasn't there or Donald Trump wasn't there. Because George Bush didn't talk about Doge or money. All of them. All the past governments ran up deficits. All of them. And this is what they do in Washington. They spend our money. And that's what the Democrats want to continue to do. They want to spend money. Spend money. We pay more for educating pupils than anybody in the world. But we are at the bottom when it comes to education. I'm in colleges, indoctrination camps. They become another bed of extortion. People aren't learning anything when they go to college, but that's what the Democrats want. The Democrats want chaos. You have the unions. The unions are supposed to work with their people. Now, the people who are above the membership, they're getting paid. It's another extortion fest. Now, I'm not saying all unions are bad. You got some good unions out there. Yes, you do. And another thing about Democrats when it comes to unions, The Democrats think they own the unions. They didn't own the unions this time. And the Democrats keep saying, well, we're going to go into a recession. We're going to go into a recession. Well, we haven't had 3 months of the market going in the tank. Now, don't get me wrong. I have read that the price of eggs has come down. The price of gas has come down. It takes a little bit of time. Bottom line is, when it comes to Trump, and basically something else, and I forgot to put it in my last video, these Democrats, they care more about hating Trump than the country. That's what it is. They don't like Trump. And anybody who voted for Biden didn't really care for Biden, but they knew Biden was a puppet. They hated Trump. Why did they hate Trump? They hated Trump because of his style. Trump was all man. And Trump was not having it. Say what you want. We needed some masculinity in the House. And for individuals out there, I will say this. The Republicans, the ones that are low information voters, you know what they did? They played identity politics just like the Democrats did. If you didn't know anything about Trump, there's one thing you did know. They liked his style, and he was a man. And the men wanted some masculinity in the House. I said it. Yes, I did say it. And we all know it. That was the key. Heck, people were voting for Kamala Harris because she was a woman. Now, is that the right way to go? No. But if you have to take your LCD, which is your lowest common denominator, you don't know anything about that person. Listen to what they say. See, Kamala Harris wasn't bringing anything to the table. She was making up stuff and lying. And that's what the Democrats do. And see, what the Democrats do is they like to utilize the weak and the gullible people. See, people who can see right through them, they have a problem with. This is why they call them bigots. This is just like in the black community. See, the black woman, a number of them, I'm using number and percentage, they will get upset and shame the men that they can't control. But the men that they can control, they have a field day with because they toy with them. That's what's happened in the black community. And I don't even know why I say black community, because a community is got infrastructure that is based on function. And what do I mean by infrastructure? I'm not talking about stormwater or anything like that. I'm talking about grocery stores, banks, education systems. See, black people thought the white man's ice was colder. So they decided to go over there with the white man. They're probably told by the Democrats. In fact, let me tell you something too, the civil rights movement. You know, Lyndon B. Johnson was a congressman during the Dwight D. Eisenhower days. Well, they were going to pass the Civil Rights Act in the 50s. You know who denied it? He did. But then in the 60s, that's when they passed the Civil Rights Act, and it was through the Republican Party. You see, a lot of black people were Republicans prior to the 60s. Some of them went to college, a number of them didn't. But the bottom line with the number of black people out here is this: colleges have turned black people left, particularly the HBCUs and some of the PWIs. You look at the black fraternities. I couldn't get into one black fraternity known as Kappa Alpha Psi because I wasn't with Obama. Those are the divine nine fraternities. Bottom line is this. When it comes to Black people, even the professional ones, particularly the ones who live down there in Prince George's County, Maryland. It's funny if you go to Kettering, Largo, Mitchellville. I used to live in Maryland, so I know where all these places are. Upper Marlboro. I have a friend who lives in Upper Marlboro. You know who those Black people work for? The government. In Maryland, Northern Virginia, of course, in DC, the biggest employer is the government. Now, I am not knocking government jobs because the government jobs are still the only jobs out there that have a pension. The baby boomers sucked up all the pensions in the 60s, 70s. So right now we're relying on 401k plans. But most of your government employees, they've had a free ride. They've been in the same position 20 years, 30 years. Now, are all the government employees being cut? No. And I have to say this with Black people too. Black people, a number of you all do not understand data, numbers, data. They'll put a number up there and you'll believe it. And when I ask, well, where'd you get that number from? You'll tell me you got it from social media or seeing it. When there is data, and this is what the Democrats do, because they're the ones that put that out. Oh, well, we have 170,000 lost jobs, the highest since 2020. 170,000 jobs, 245% increase. Now, I'm looking at this number and I'm saying, well, how could that be? Where are the jobs being lost? Because if you really think about it, there's roughly 2 to 2 million people who work for the government. So if some of the government employees are getting cut, it's a very, very small number. But, the Democrats will say, we don't want to cut any government employees. Well, I've been laid off. I've been fired. No, I don't want to see anybody lose their job. However, if you know how to negotiate / sell yourself, you can find a job. Now, the government jobs that they're talking about are federal jobs. Well, you can go work for your state and local government. They're still hiring, but it depends on what you can do. The bottom line I see with the Democrats is the Democrats want to give everybody a free ride while they control it. In other words, if it were up to the Democrats, the left wing of the party is running a Democratic Party, and the left wingers want socialized health care. They do. They want universal basic income. They really want to ration out a lot of the resources. So they want to keep 70% while they give us 30%. And they want to tell us that 30% is actually 100% when it isn't 100%. Meanwhile, they're sitting in the back enjoying the other 70%. Hogwash. But that's what they want to do. But you have a number of people out here who aren't very smart enough to see that. So you have to use common sense. You have to apply what you see on TV. Well, how is it affecting you out here? And this is why you can't always believe all of the news out there. Even some YouTubers. And you don't even have to agree or believe me. Check it for yourself. Look at your life right now. And when it comes to a number of people out here, they don't even understand how the real world works anyway. They don't understand markets. They don't understand what break even is, supply and demand. They don't. Why? Because many of them vote on symbolism and feelings. And when it comes to data, many of them don't check the numbers. Like I brought up a number and I said, okay, you've given me 170,000 lost jobs. All right, and that's total. So the question that you have to ask, and see, the Democrats don't teach you how to ask questions. They just teach you how to run with whatever they give you. So what you need to do is take that number down when it comes to the jobs and say, okay, what sectors of the market have the layoffs? Because I know it's not 170,000 jobs in one sector. So you have to look at the sectors, in my humble opinion, where you always have layoffs anyway. And that's in the retail, the hospitality industry. Why is that? Well, number one, you have bad management. Number two, the pay is lousy. Number three, the hours. You work those jobs based on the needs. I worked in the hospitality industry. No. Now, it's funny. It also depends on where you live. So you have to ask yourself, where are they cutting most of these jobs? What state? Or what states? What city? Are you able to relocate? Some can, some cannot. And see, with a number of people, they've been trained to be employees and not employers themselves. See, the Democrats, they want to be able to take and redistribute. That's their business model. It's always been their business model since the 60s. Because they believe that the only way to get to real equality is by utilizing redistribution of wealth. Well, that's socialism. We're not Sweden. And see, look at people like Zelensky. By the way, they're getting ready to come to a ceasefire, and Trump said it's all up to Putin. They've been fighting. And if you look at the market, what's going on? Well, if you create jobs, like I live here in Indiana, they're going to be putting a Honda plant here. So that's going to create 10,000 jobs. That's going to also help the state get more taxes. See, the more private sector jobs that you create. Now, I'm not saying government employees don't pay taxes, because they do. They pay taxes. They do. But with government employees or in the public sector, what they forgot is this. They thought that their job was secure, safe. That was the problem. It wasn't. Depends on what you do. And I hear from the Democrats, see, they'd love to take a number like the veterans. I ordered 25% of the veterans out of work now, and they work for the federal government. Okay, they take that number. Where are the other 75%? They don't read data very well, and they know how to scare people. And see, when you do not do your research, you become one of those gullible people. And unfortunately, in this country, we got a lot of dumb people who vote. And they don't even know the issues. But they're going to vote for somebody based on the identity politics. It's not just black people. Women do the same thing. Not all, of course, but a percentage. And because that has happened, because of the identity politics, a number of your ignorant people voting, they vote the country away. And you have some now that what the mainstream media, which the Democrats are on the mainstream media, they're telling us that a number of Trump supporters now regret voting for Trump. That's what they say. But see, the problem with the mainstream media, they're not out here on the ground. And when they get out on the ground, like they were in North Carolina, when a hurricane took place, they didn't really think that was real media. Bottom line, that was real media. And see, this time, you have a platform like X, you have a platform like Rumble. That's up. See, during 2020, it wasn't up. And see, the Democrats at that time controlled the speech. Now, where is Mark Zuckerberg hiding? We don't see him. Yeah, he helped the shenanigans in 2020. The bottom line is this. The mainstream media that's run by the Democrats, it's not working anymore. And the Democrats keep resisting. They really believe that their socialist policies and their communist policies are going to work. Well, they're working in big cities, but they always have. You look at the people in the bigger cities. See, the bigger cities, you talk about segregation. Heck, you got all kinds of segregation in the bigger cities. But basically, you got two classes of people, rich and poor. That's what you got. You also have the media, some of those cities as well. And you have a large population in those cities, particularly New York, Chicago, Houston, LA. See, states like mine here in Indiana, Indianapolis is the largest city, but even with the population of Indianapolis, the funny thing about Indiana, well, if you go into Hamilton County, you look at Fishers, you look at Carmel, Noblesville, guess what? They don't vote Democrat, they vote Republican. That's in Hamilton County, that's in Boone County, and this is right around Indianapolis. Indianapolis is all Marion County, but then you got Hancock County, you got Hendricks County, you got red right around Indianapolis. And Indianapolis was one of the cities that had a Republican mayor. You don't get that in cities of over 600,000 people, but you had it here. But again, the bottom line when it comes to the Democratic Party, they don't stand for anything right now but themselves. And they want you to believe in what they believe in. This is why they're out there with their phony protests. Their phony protests aren't working. Now, you don't have to like Trump. But I will say this, he is doing what he said he's going to do, even if you don't like it. I would rather have somebody try something, and if it doesn't work, they can try something different rather than promise. Black people out there, the Democrats have promised you everything, and guess what? You got nothing. But you're still voting for the Democrats. Especially a lot of you older folks out there. And I'm going to say this, younger folks in the Black community, don't listen to these older folks out there. See, these older folks, they want symbolism because they're going to check out pretty soon. So you younger folks that have to carry the torch, and the older folks, they're not giving you the torch. So you got to create your own torch, but you have to be a little bit more. We talk about diversity, open-minded with your thoughts. You cannot be influenced by religion, because religion is another portion of the five power conferences of society that is used to control people. Believe me, look at all these cults like David Koresh, Jim Jones. And that's what the Democrats are like. The Democratic left in this country is one big religion. And that one big religion that is entering their party right now is destruction. And they actually think that their policies, which they have none, because they keep repeating the same BS over and over and over again, and they're not swaying people. You see, they got away with a lot of bullshit in 2020. 2024, they didn't get away with it. And at the rate they're going right now, they might not get away with it in 2026. Because the House and Senate, that's the midterm. And if the Democrats don't come away with any type of victories in 2026, I mean, they're already toast now, but now I would like to see, of course, this video is not about Donald Trump. Donald Trump get a few victories on the economy, because the economy is tanking a little bit. It's been up and down. It has been up and down. But when you come in and you're trying to straighten out, because he's moving so fast, got a lot of issues on his plate. You're not going to be able to solve everything at one time. You need the people. He doesn't even have everybody staffed yet. Yeah, he has his cabinet people, but his cabinet people got to hire the right people as well. The bottom line is you have to see what's going on out here. The Democratic Party, they don't care about America. They care about themselves. This is why you always hear all the nonsense on CNN, MSNBC. See, I don't care if they get rid of a Joy Reid or they get, I mean, I will say at least Abby Phillips is okay. You can get rid of all those individuals on CNN. Look, they got rid of Roland Martin. They got rid of Don Lemon. But guess what? Get rid of one and you replace it with another. Really didn't get rid. You just got rid of a player and put the same player in place. That's all you did. You look at Chicago. They got rid of Lori Lightfoot and put Johnson in. It's a lot worse too than the city of Chicago. The bottom line, when it comes to the Democratic Party, what do they really stand for? Because to me, they're nothing but a party in chaos. Regardless of who you are, you need to look at what they're trying to do. They're trying to destroy this country. Trying to have these phony protests out here. They're trying to make up lies about unemployment. They're trying to use the media. They're trying to use the courts because they don't have anything. And generally, when you don't have anything, what are you going to do? You're going to make up something to try to coerce the people into seeing things in your favor. But the bottom line is this. If you got common sense and you know what's going on, guess what? You cannot be controlled. What the Democrats are looking to do is to control every aspect of your life. But in the end, they don't have the means to do it. Why? Because when you're objective, and you're a clear thinker, it always overrides ideology and feelings. And what's going on with the Democratic Party, they don't stand for anything except hating Trump. And right now, they're trying to see how much they can throw against the wall and see what's sticking. Look at what they're doing. They're doing nothing but lying and wasting time. Because the Democratic Party, they sound good, but they promote racism, sexism. They're not for equality. They've never been for equality. They're for communism and socialism. And they use all the other ideologies as a deception, cover up what they really stand for. It's what Karl Marx did. Karl Marx was a communist. Well, nobody was looking at communism even when he was alive. So we came up with Marxism. Democrats are using the same tactics. So in the end, if you are in the Democratic Party, what do you stand for? Why are you a Democrat? And I don't want to hear, well, the Republicans are racist. No. Because if the Democrats were really looking out for you, why do we have the same issues from the Democrats every election? The answer is easy. Because in the end, besides hating Trump, the Democrats have no solutions. They're just a mouthpiece full of air. That's all they are. Nothing but hot air. That's what the Democrats promote. They sound good, but they don't produce anything except for an entitlement in a lazy society. So in the end, here's what the Democrats are doing. They're talking loud, but they ain't saying nothing. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, you check out my second channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. And I generally put videos up on Thursday, sometimes Friday and Saturday, but you got to tune in. So here's where you can find me for the 401 Talk Zone radio show. This is my main channel. You can find me here on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Rumble, and Truth Social. And for the QCIS channel, you can find me YouTube. You can find me on X, formerly Twitter, and of course, LinkedIn. But here on the 401 Talk Zone radio show, we're guaranteed, for the most part, a video every Wednesday. And for the individuals on the QCIS channel. I know some of you want me to respond. I will respond if you want to talk about STEM. I'm not interested in communicating with you about anything else. It is a STEM channel. So I'd like to hear from some of you professors who are about science, technology, engineering, and math. Other than that, you will not get any response from me. Why? Because it's just a waste of time. If you're not smart enough to hear what I have to say or read what's going on, I'm not going to waste my time with you. And you know who you sound like? You sound like just what I talked about tonight. You sound like a dumb Democrat. Someone who has entitlement issues. Someone, because the Democratic Party, a lot of them are stuck in arrested development. They never left their childhood, but they're in power, trying to control every aspect of what's going on in our lives. But they're losing. And here's what I'm going to tell you as well. Be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, then change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.